Okay. So we will get started now. Let me go forward. Once again, just a quick confirmation from all of you. Am I audible? Yes, no. All right, great. Thank you. Thank you. So let's move forward. Before we start and before I hand it over to Mr. Akella himself, I would like to run you through a quick company presentation, some slides before that. I am Siddharth Nandakumar and I handle product marketing at Web Solutions Limited, and I will be your moderator for the day. So let's move forward with the company introduction. Web is a 20-year-old company as of today. We were initially known as Wipro e-Peripherals. We were in fact part of Wipro itself. We were the peripherals manufacturing division of the company. And in 2000, we became an independent entity. So from there on, we have grown and we have expanded in our solutions offering. I would like to show you what we have on offer in the upcoming slides. So we have multiple solution offerings as of today, managed print services. Then we have something called digital transformation solutions. Under this, there are two different offerings. One is GST and the other one is a workflow automation and document repository solution, which I will also explain later. Then we have intelligent office automation solutions. That is, we have enterprise printing products, basically. Let's move forward. Okay, a few slides with some points for all of you to see what we have on offer. On the corporate side, we have managed print services. The idea here is we actually handle printing hardware for organizations, whether they're existing hardware or new hardware. We handle the entire printer network in their company. Aside this, we have a pay per print model. Basically, you pay for one print. There is a cost model that we implement. And we also undertake the complete service and support throughout the country. Serial number 2. We are, in fact, Ricoh's authorized distributor, that is Ricoh Japan. Ricoh has a wide range of printing products on offer. So their catalog is something that we deal with in India. We have a wide range of multifunction printers and single function printers. Moving to the digital transformation lineup. First one is GST, as you can see. Idea here is simple. We have a GST solution which handles all your filing and reconciliation requirements. We have modules built for e-Waybill. E-Invoicing is undertaken as well. Then we undertake most ERP integrations, SAP, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, and Navision, and others through APIs. We also have a dedicated expert managed GST filing team within our company who handle, you will be able to outsource your filing and reconciliation necessities to us. Let's move forward. Fourthly, we have document management solutions. Now, the idea here is simple. We have a document repository solution, which is hosted on the cloud, but also we can automate any kind of business process you have for finance team, for legal, for HR, any kind of team there is. If you have an existing mail approval process or any kind of manual process that you have in your company or email process, we can automate that with our solution. And then we have a digital signature or contract management solution. Now, this is a dedicated solution for the legal team, where you will be able to get your digital signature done through the platform. You do not have to travel to different customers' places to do that. Automated reminders, expiry dates, all of that can be done on the platform itself. So this is on the solutions end. Once again, thank you all for your patience on listening to me. Quick slide for all of you on what exactly our DMS solution is. We also have automation for procurement team, employee records management for the HR, as I mentioned, legal contracts, management of change for chemical pharma industries, and a lot more on offer. Quick view of our customers. Please note we have a wide range of customers for different solution offerings. For instance, Sriram City Union in Chennai uses our GST solution. We have Herbalife who also use our GST solution. They're in fact our managed GST client. And these are some DMS clients, as I mentioned earlier. We have Flipkart, PhonePe, MRF who are using our automation solution as well. Okay, so before I move forward, I would like to launch a poll for all of you quickly. I know that all of you are from the finance team, but I do know there might be some people who see a requirement for our solution. I would like to launch a quick poll for all of you. Would any of you be interested to see what our DMS solution has on offer? I would like to keep this poll on for the next 1 minute. Please note, based on your polls, I will be able to reach out to you in the next few working days, and we will understand your requirement and we can show you a free demo of our solution. Any kind of automation that you want for finance team, for legal, for your HR team, anything there is. All right. Another 10 seconds before I end this poll. Once again, thank you all for joining. I hope my voice is loud and clear. Please use the chat or Q&A for entering your questions. I already see a bunch of questions on the Q&A tab. Good to see them. Moving on, we will have Mr. Akella, who is going to be introduced. Okay, thank you for the inputs. Let me end the poll. Okay, great. All right. Without any further ado, let me introduce our speaker for the day, Mr. Akella, who is an independent indirect tax advocate. He graduated in 1989 from Birla Institute of Technology, BITS Pilani in Electricals and Electronics Engineering. He's also a gold medal holder who completed LLB from Andhra University in the year 2001. Mr. Akella is a certified fraud examiner as well, but he's not currently active in this field. He has worked in the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, CBIC from 1994 to 2008. He's worked for KPMG Bangalore from 2008 to 13. His other stints were with Toyota Kirloskar, Bidadi from February 2013 to November 2016. And lastly, Biocon Limited from the year 2016 to June 2021. Mr. Akella is also an active member of various indirect tax committees of various trade bodies like BCCI, CII, FICCI, and so on. Mr. Akella has written articles in TIOL, Tax Sutra on various tax issues as well. He's an active speaker and panelist on various forums on indirect tax matters. He comes with more than 27 years of experience in the field of indirect taxes with exposures in various domains and industries like auto, pharma, government, so on and so forth. Currently, is practicing as an indirect tax advocate, assisting a large number of clients on all aspects of indirect taxes at all levels. I take great pleasure in introducing him on yet another webinar. This is in fact our 9th webinar with Mr. Akella this year. I'm sure the audience is looking forward to hearing directly from you, sir. Over to you. Thank you.
Very good afternoon to all of you. Thanks for joining us this afternoon for this important session on the electronic invoicing system under the GST. So without much delay that I am starting on, that the agenda for today's session is going to be what is the GST e-invoice, who are eligible for it and how to issue it, and what are the kind of issues that may arise in issuing and how to resolve them. And then mostly I will be looking at your questions in order to answer you directly. So next slide, please. So the e-invoicing is a revolutionary concept under the GST, which was introduced primarily to check the bogus invoicing and the circular trading. And this is applicable only in the case of B2B transactions only. And it was conceptualized during this GST council meetings after seeing a lot of this circular trading and other activities. So, and it has been introduced in a phased manner that to start with 500 crores and above, and slowly that they are reducing this turnover limit. Now currently it stands at 10 crores, and from 1st of January 2023, all those who are having a turnover of more than 5 crores are going to be covered in this. And it's likely that in the next financial year onwards, it is going to be applicable universally for all the categories of the people. Of course, that there will be a time when it is going to be introduced even for the B2C transactions also, without any kind of a doubt. because what comes to the government exchequer is the B2C revenue only, but not to B2B. But definitely so, the e-invoice is in all likelihood is going to be extended to B2C also, but it is going to happen in phased manners only. But the important point, what we need to keep it in mind is it is not a facility to generate the invoice at your end, but it is a ratifying facility for the already generated invoice, wherein the specified details of the invoice are submitted to the GSTN portal for validation. So once it is validated, the invoice registration portal of the GSTN will return a digitally signed invoice with a QR code incorporating all the statutory information pertaining to such supply. The next slide, please. With a IRN number. Next slide, please. So these are the various times when the threshold limit has been brought down. That 500 crores is applicable from 1st of October 2020. Then it has been brought down to 100 crores from 1st of January 21. Then from 1st of April 21, it is 50 crores. And then 1st of April 22, it has become 20 crores. And 1st of October 22, it has become 10 crores. And this is tentative. But 1st of January 2023, it is going to be 5 crores. And then it is further going to be reduced and may be applicable for all B2B transactions in future. So in nutshell, this is the chronology with applicable notifications that I am displaying it over here. Next slide, please. So what are the document e-invoicing is applicable for which all documents? It is for tax invoice, credit note, debit note issued under section 34 of the CGST Act. So what are the kind of transactions that are covered in this? All B2B sale of goods or services, then business to government sale of goods and services, all exports, deemed exports, and supplies to SEZ with or without tax payment, stock transfers, supply of services to distinct persons, supplies to SEZ developers, and supplies under reverse charge covered by section 9(3) of the CGST Act. For all these activities, you need to generate e-invoice. Next slide, please. So who are eligible? So as I said, that all B2B suppliers are going to be eligible, but with turnover limit. So how this turnover is going to be computed? It is PAN-based turnover. Mind you, it is not GST registration wise that you need to count. If a person is having registrations in multiple states, then at PAN level, his turnover is to be computed for eligibility for the e-invoicing. So once his turnover exceeds 10 crores post October 2022, then he needs to issue the e-invoicing from the next financial year. So this turnover is for the past financial year. So if you exceed the threshold limit, then from the next financial year onwards, that you need to issue e-invoicing. So this e-invoice is going to facilitate the seamless flow of the information to various other purposes like GSTR1 filing, because the information gets auto-populated. Similarly, in the e-way bill part A also gets auto-populated once you submit the information for the e-invoicing portal. So it will avoid the duplication, resulting in ease of doing business, and also will avoid the possible clerical mistakes while retyping the information, and helps in faster reconciliation of the data. Interoperability of the various softwares being used by the trade is also possible in this, and faster and accurate communication will happen in the supply chain because you need not physically hand over the physical copy of the invoice. So the digital copy also can be transmitted. So you can send it by various means that you have, like WhatsApp. Also you can send the invoice copy to your recipient, and it helps in curbing tax evasion, helps in the real-time verification of the information, and gives less scope for manipulation. Next slide, please.
Okay. So, sir, if you wouldn't mind, can I launch one poll quickly?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay. So, audience, I hope you're seeing my screen. I would like to know what is your opinion on this specific question? Which automation has helped to augment GST revenues, whether it is online registration, e-invoicing, e-way bill, or e-filing of returns? Let me leave this on for the next 1 minute. Okay, followed by which we will move on to the next slide. Okay, e-invoicing. Audience, we would like to see more responses on the polls. Let us
more
keep.
than 50 participants are there, and we are hardly getting the representation. Is it that people are not interested to reveal their views on it?
We only have 21.
Confidential about it, because we never ask you any controversial queries.
Absolutely. Okay, 24, not bad. Can we make it 30? We will need six more inputs. Okay, 26, not bad. Okay, few more. E-invoicing is still at 70%. Okay. Nothing on e-way bill and online registration. Okay. All right, 29. Okay, audience, come on, one more. Can we have one more response? Okay, so we have 30. Okay, let us end the poll. Let me launch the poll and show the results to all of you here. So we have e-invoicing as expected.
So yes, because of this reason that we thought that today we will cover this important aspect of the GST, because e-invoicing is one such thing which is helping the government to augment their revenues, and also in curbing the fraudulent claims and all that. Yeah, definitely the e-filing of the returns should be in the second place, and you have rated it correctly also.
Right.
Thank you. Thanks for your participation.
All right, let's move forward.
Yeah, so there are certain categories of the people for whom that e-invoicing is not applicable. So an insurance or banking company or a financial institution, including the non-banking financial institutions, and a GTA supplier, and a registered person supplying passenger transport services, registered person supplying services by way of admission to the exhibition or cinematographic films in multiplex services, ACZ units, a government department or local authority, and persons registered in terms of Rule 14 of the CGST rules, OEDARs. So for them, the delivery challenge, bill of supply, financial or commercial credit notes and debit notes, and bill of entry and ISD invoices need not be through e-invoicing. So ISD invoices need not be e-invoice. And the transactions are all B2C transactions, nil rated or non-taxable supplies, are exempted B2B sale of goods or services, nil rated or non-taxable or exempt B2G sale of goods or services, imports, high sea sales, bonded warehouse sales, free trade warehousing zones, and supplies under reverse charge covered by Section 9(4) of the CGST Act. Because there is a question in the Q&A box for me that whether RCM invoices are to be covered. So it is only a supplier who is supposed to issue a e-invoice, not the recipient. So in that perspective, only the suppliers are to generate the e-invoice. So if it is under the RCM and the supplier is not required to issue a e-invoice, then certainly the recipient need not issue a e-invoice for RCM payment.
Okay.
Yeah, next slide, please.
Yeah.
So how to issue a e-invoice? So there are some mandatory sections are there in the e-invoicing, and there are some optional sections. So there are 12 sections which are mandatory, and then optional, and 6 annexes consisting of total of 138 fields are there. So some of the fields I just read out for your purpose, that the title of the document, whether it is going to be bill of supply, invoice, credit note or debit note, such a kind of a thing. And then declaration for the composition supplier, and the name of the supplier, address of the registered office, body corporate's registration number, statement of the registration. If you have got your website, your email ID, telephone number, fax number, and former name in the last 2 years, if you have got any change of name, and the address from where the supply is taking place, and the registration number of the supplier, the consecutive serial number of the invoice, date of issue, PAN number of the recipient, and then name and address of the buyer or the service receiver, and then registration number of the recipient, name and address of the consignee, and full description of the goods, HSN classification, quantity, value, taxable value, rate of tax in terms of CGST, SGST, and IGST, the total GST payable, and then the place of supply, the amount of tax payable and under reverse charge, if there is any, and then endorsement for the supplies, whether they are exports or to SEZ units or by claiming any kind of exemptions, etc. And if there is any kind of a non-admissible credit, and then for and on behalf of the company, if the supplies are happening, and signature and the Incoterms, and then you need to have the details of other details like details of the packing, country of origin, country of export, port of loading, country of final destination, port of discharge, final destinations, marks and numbers, terms of payment and terms of delivery, bank account details, etc. All these are going to be forming part of the invoice. So, but out of all these, there are only certain fields which are to be communicated to the GSTN portal for you to generate the e-invoice, and that information will be converted into the barcode and the QR code, and with a signature, the QR code gets returned to you. That QR code, you need to print it on your invoice while supplying your goods. So there are 5 mandatory sections: the basic details, supplier information, recipient information, invoice, item details, and the document total, and 2 mandatory annexes. And then QR code contains the GSTN of the supplier and the recipient, invoice number, date of generation of the invoice, invoice value, number of line items, and HSN code of the item with the highest taxable value and the unique IRN. So the maximum line items in a e-invoice is currently at 1,000, and depending on the requirement, certainly the government is ready to enhance it over a period of time. But currently the limit is at 1,000 line items. Next slide, please.
Yeah. So, sir, before we move to the next slide, where you talk a little more in depth, can we launch one more poll quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, audience, what is the one important GST reform to be prioritized? Let us know your thoughts on this. Submising of petroleum products, submising of real estate, allowing ITC on immovable property, or is it single tax rate? Also, I am seeing a few more inputs on the Q&A tab. Please bring in more inputs. We will answer them towards the end of the session. Okay, 21, 23, okay, 24. Okay, let's see if I can have more than 30 responses this time. Okay, not bad, not bad. 33 at the moment. Yeah, so we have improved response at this time.
Thanks for the active participation from the people.
Absolutely.
And as I see the trend, is it the case that there are more people from the manufacturing sector this time in the session? Otherwise, normally, I don't think that anybody will give importance for the subsuming of the petroleum products.
Absolutely, yeah.
Service sector people normally don't bother much about it.
I was wondering
that the subsuming of the petroleum products at the single tax rate are occupying the highest voting. But unfortunately for India, I think single tax rate is going to be a distant dream. And yes, petroleum products that the states have to come on for an agreement with the central government, so that maybe that that is going to be the immediate next priority for the GST Council. And certainly that not many takers for subsuming of the real estate. Yeah, good to see the numbers. I think 39 persons have participated in the poll.
It's definitely improved.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move forward.
Yeah.
Okay, more polls to come later.
So some of the issues under the e-invoicing that we are touching upon, that e-invoice cannot be cancelled partially. So if you find that there is any kind of a discrepancy in the e-invoice that you have generated erroneously, then the entire invoice has to be cancelled within 24 hours of generating in the IRP portal. Otherwise, it has to be manually cancelled by reporting in the GSTR1 only. That is the only option. Yeah, the flip side of the e-invoicing is that it cannot be corrected. Partially, you cannot correct it. So it has to be cancelled and it has to be reissued with a fresh number and a fresh IRN also. And the turnover threshold for the e-invoicing, as I told you earlier, is also at the PAN level, but not at the individual GST registration level. So that you need to keep it in mind. And when you are computing the at PAN level the threshold, then even your non-taxable turnovers, SEZ turnovers also will be included, so that your eligibility for e-invoicing will be decided thereon. And once you are eligible for issuing an e-invoice, irrespective of which registration is crossing the threshold, for all your registrations and for all your B2B transactions, you are supposed to issue e-invoice. And there is no time limit prescribed for generating an e-invoice. So you can generate the normal invoice in your system, and later that you can submit it to the portal and generate an e-invoice to them. But what is advisable is always that the e-invoicing should precede the supply of the goods actually, so that e-way bill also can be generated, and then your reporting on the GSTR1 also will be a subsequent event. So don't ever commit a mistake of generating an e-invoice after uploading it in the GSTR1. Such a kind of a mistake should not be there. So it is ideal that there can be a time gap between the system generated invoice, converting into the e-invoice, and getting reported in the GSTR1. And e-invoice need not be signed either physically or digitally, because the information has been validated by the government and it is returned to you in the form of a QR code. Hence, a soft copy you can send it to your suppliers, and it is going to be a valid document during the movement of the goods also. And in case if you want to, you can, there is no bar for you to physically or digitally sign it, but the requirement is not there. It is not a mandatory requirement, I say. Multiple copies of e-invoices are not necessary. Like in the past, we used to generate original for the buyer, duplicate for the transporter, triplicate, like that. We used to have multiple copies of the invoices in the past. Now, because of the introduction of the e-invoicing, you need not have multiple copies of the invoices because it looks the same. So there is no original, duplicate, triplicate concept in the e-invoicing. And the same invoice cannot have different IRNs. Similarly, the same IRN cannot be on two different invoices. And any amendment to an invoice is by the GSTR1 only. Next slide, please.
Okay. Sir, just one more poll let me launch in the meantime.
Sure.
Yeah. So audience, which process has helped in detecting revenue leakage? Let me leave this on for another minute, and I would like to see the same level of participation this time as well. Okay, all right, good to see. Let me end the poll. Okay, so matching concept under ITC is what has received maximum votes, followed by e-invoicing.
I voted for the e-invoicing, but here that the people are tending towards the matching concept under the ITC. Yes, it also plays an important role in plugging the revenue leakage, that matching concept under the ITC, which is the most hated concept under the GST.
Absolutely. All right, I'll end the poll, sir. You can go forward.
Yeah. Some more issues, that e-commerce operators can generate the e-invoice on behalf of his suppliers, and there is no time limit prescribed between generation of the e-invoice and the e-way bill. And the GSTN in partnership with the ICAI has drafted this e-invoice standard. And this refers to the PEPAL, which is Pan-European Public Procurement Online, which is based on the Universal Business Language Standard. This takes into account the requirement under the tax laws and has the features that are required for the international trade. So it is an internationally accepted practice because more than 45 countries across the globe are already utilizing this e-invoicing in different forms. So a e-invoice is not applicable for the ISD transaction, and a taxpayer must pay 100% of the tax due or 10,000 rupees, whichever is higher, if they do not generate e-invoice when it is applicable for them. Moreover, the penalty for the incorrect invoicing is 25,000 rupees per invoice without any limit on the amount of the invoice. And no e-invoice is required for imports, and no e-invoice is applicable in case of sale of goods on high seas as well as sale from the bonded warehouses. And carrying a physical copy of the invoice is not necessary, as copy in digital form is sufficient during the transportation of the goods. Next slide, please.
Yeah, so that actually brings to the end of our slides. So what we can do is we also have a quick demo of our solution which we planned. So Mr. Akella, if you can give us about 10 minutes, we will be back with you.
Sure, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So audience, thank you all for staying with us so far. Now, what we're going to do is we will show you a quick demo of our e-invoice solution that we have on offer, and followed by which we will get into the in-depth question and answer session with Mr. Akella. So I would like to introduce my GST expert and manager, Mr. Rakesh Kumar, who will run us through a quick demo of our e-invoice solution. Rakesh, are you around?
Yes, Siddharth.
Yeah, over to you, Rakesh. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Siddharth.
So you can share your screen. I will stop sharing.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I will do a quick demo web portal. So my screen is visible to all.
Yeah, a quick confirmation from everyone if you're able to see Rakesh's screen. Okay, yeah. You can go ahead, Rakesh. Yeah. So what Rakesh is going to show you is a very short and quick, snappy demo of our e-invoice solution itself. So if you have any questions regarding the platform, please feel free to ask once the demo is done. Thank you.
So to log in web portal, we have to type here www.webgst.com. So once we come here on this portal, here we can see information. So if we are not a subscribe service, we can create account. So from here we can select service which we want to take. So here we can select like GST service, e-invoice or e-payment. So once subscription is done, we have come back on portal where we have login ID and password. So we have to here login. So once we login, we directly come on dashboard. So this dashboard called GST return filing. So we will move directly on e-invoice module. So in e-invoice module, we have further dashboard. On dashboard, we can see the information of how much invoices generated in one range. So here we can select one particular range. So if you want how many invoices are generated last month. So here we can state status, generated invoices, cancel, not generated, and error while generating e-invoices. Further, here we can see information at GST level. If we have company multiple GST, so we can see status, how much generated against each GST number, or further status we can check here. So now next step is how to upload data in web portal. So to upload data here, we have template option first. So for that, we have to go bulk upload. So here we have to prepare template and we can upload. Other method is we can do an integration with ERP. So in that scenario, we are not required to prepare any manual template. So directly we can generate e-invoice in the ERP. So as we are providing ASP integration and GST integration solution. So if you are going e-invoice through template, I will show you one invoice sample. So as I upload here template, import data. So it will show there is a total 6 record is present, 3 record is processed, and 3 has some error. So which error is there, we can download this error and we can rectify. For that we have to go generate IRN page. So from this page, we need to select GST number for which we need to generate IRN. And here select date, record type, and not generated. Here click on view summary. So here we have select this invoice. If we uploaded multiple invoices, for example, we upload 100 colors invoices, so we can select from here and we click on generate e-invoice. So our e-invoice generates successfully. So to check this invoice printout, we can click record type as generated, and here we can see the printout. So this is a standard format where information is available. Here we can see IRN number, salary detail, then dispatch detail, bill to detail, and ship to detail. Here will be item detail, and further information of invoice value we can see here. Pay information and additional information if we have. So if there is a require any customization PDF, we can do that as well. So once invoice generate, so we can generate e-way bill. So for that, we have another option, generate e-way bill. So here we need to select GST number, then document date, IRN number we have to provide here, and then we can generate the e-way bill. So if there is any mistake while generating e-invoice, so for that we can cancel that particular IRN within 24 hours. So for that, cancel IRN option is there. So here we need to select particular GST number. Here we have to provide IRN number, region. We have to mention remark and cancel IRN. So it's cancelled successfully, and status we can see here it's a cancel IRN. So further, we can extract reports as we generating e-invoice. If any particular time we want to see how many invoices we have generated e-invoice, or there some data which is uploaded portal but e-invoice is pending for generate. So for that we have to go e-invoice report. Here we can select GST number, and from here we can download the multiple reports. So if we are generating e-way bill, so we can take print out from here, this page. So here is a print out is available for e-way bill. So we can say that required information is available here. This is an invoice demonstration. So if you have any query, you can send on chat box.
Sure. Thank you, Rakesh. So audience, over to you. Do you have any technical platform related questions? We can spend about 5 minutes before we hand it over to Mr. Akella again. Any questions regarding the solution? Is any of you looking for a platform at the moment? Are you looking for a solution or something at the moment? Okay, we have two people who have raised hands. Let me check who they are. Okay, Miss Susanta and is there any question that you would like to ask us? Would you like to interact directly? Please give it on the chat if it's a yes or a no. If anyone wants to talk directly, I will be able to allow that as well. Just mention if it's a yes or no on chat. Thank you. Okay. Any questions? Any questions for Mr. Rakesh? Rakesh, is this question for you? There's one from Mr. Pradeep. In the e-invoice not generated by supplier, it will be considered invalid. I'm not sure if this is a question for Mr. Akella or you.
I'll answer it.
Okay, sir. Okay. Yeah, I just got it. Yeah, I think there's one question from Ms. Rupa. How to download 5 days back e-invoice data, Rakesh?
Yes, that. Yeah, so there is an option for view and print option. So as we generating e-invoice in portal, so we can take from there all printout or all e-invoice, what a PDF is available. As on an IC portal, it's available only for 48 hours. But in web portal, we can take like the last 30 days as well.
Yeah, and the timeline can be set, correct? Based on what they want to do. So there's a drop down for date, I think. Correct, Rakesh?
Yes. So that option is there. And for example, if you're generating from 1st April onward, so we can see the last complete 1 year as well, because it will be backup will be available for PDF.
Right.
So there is a information also available in Excel format as we uploading, but PDF also available. So anytime we can take that.
Okay. Okay. We have input from Ms. Divya as well, who is our technical expert from GST team. She has mentioned there is no option to download from NIC portal. Only possibility is to download within 24 hours. Audience, let me just do one thing. I will also bring her in. If you have any questions, let me just add her as well. Ms. Divya, you're also a panelist now. You should be able to interact. Okay. All right. So I want to download e-invoice bill of 2122. Ms. Rupa has mentioned.
We can not download the PDF now because that information is available only for 48 hours on NIC portal. But we can get the e-invoice data, which e-invoice is generated. So that data we can download from GST portal on GST R1 dashboard. So there is an option for as we go on GST R1 dashboard. First option is coming for GST return, then amendment, and after that e-invoice history. So there we can find out IRN generated against invoice number. But PDF will not be available. That's there.
All right. Any further questions for Mr. Rakesh and Ms. Divya? Audience? Okay, let's do one thing. So we will come back if there are any further questions in terms of platform. So I request Divya and Rakesh to be on hold for a little more longer, if you guys wouldn't mind. I will hand it over to Mr. Akella so that we can take care of the queries that have already come in. Mr. Akella, over to you, sir. We can start off with the
Thanks.
question.
To just add on to the queries that have happened on the technical side. See, if you have the support of ASP, GSP, then all your practical problems, what you are now projecting here, can be overcome. So precisely for that reason that I just wanted to wait for the opportunity to impress on you that you should look at some ASP, GSP provider with you. And certainly web will be able to help you in downloading your past invoices and then keeping the track of all your PDF documents, and the repository will be readily available, and they will be keeping it in the cloud, and as and when you want it, then they will be in a position to retrieve and give such documents to you, and they will be able to help you in this complex task of generating your invoice and then making it an e-invoice and linking it to the e-way bill and subsequently uploading it in the GSTR1 and then matching your credits so that when you are filing the 3P, all the available credit to you is perfectly put to use, and then it will address your cash flow issues also, and subsequently in the filing of the returns. And when during the departmental audit, when you want to touch upon the previous information in order to substantiate the position that you have taken, certainly the ASP, GSPs are going to be helpful for you, because NIC will not be in a position to keep the data for you eternally as and when you want it. And the audits can happen after 2-3 years. Then it will be a Herculean task for you to collect all this information from the government portal, and that is where that you have to take help of these ASP, GSPs. So my earnest request to all the participants is to consider some ASP, GSP support, which is going to be at a very nominal cost, but the savings to you in the long run will be substantial, and it is really helping you in ease of doing business also. That apart, one more thing that I wanted to bring it to your notice, that while creating your invoice on the input side, that is from your end, that you at least have 2 fields. You are billing it from, so your address will be there. But you may not be lifting the goods from that location, that you may be having the additional place of businesses also from where the goods are going to be moved or supplied. So even that location's details also need to be captured on the face of invoice. So the goods are going to be lifted from, so that location address also should be there. So this is on the input side. On the output side, when you see that you will be giving the invoice to a particular person, but on his instructions, you will be delivering the goods to another party. So bill to, ship to. So 2 addresses on the output side also. And sometimes a 3rd feed is also required on the output side, because you may have to intimate somebody else that this transaction is complete because of many reasons, commercial reasons. So it is always preferred that in the invoice that you have 5 address fields. 1, from where that you are billing, and 2, from where actually the goods are going to be picked up, and 3, to whom you are giving this invoice, bill to, and then 4, ship to whom you are delivering the goods, physical position of the goods are being given to, and then 5th one is a notify party, so that he will also be in the loop. So if these are already customized in your invoice, so as and when you are in need of them, then you need not again revisit your invoice, because the fields are available, you can make use of it. Otherwise, that they will be left blank. So this is just a suggestion after hearing out from the people about their problems and all. I thought that I will just suggest you. And there is only one question in the chat box, that is from Pradeep sir. So before going into the QA, that I just wanted to answer it. So he is saying that in case e-invoice is not generated by the supplier, I am taking a pause over there. First, that we have to decide here whether the supplier is obligated to raise a e-invoice or not. If it is a case that his turnover exceeds the eligibility limit for generating an e-invoice and he fails to do so, then he makes a supply then it is treated as an invalid invoice only, because the person who is supposed to generate a e-invoice is expected to give e-invoice only for his supplies. If he is not giving the e-invoice, then it is not a valid invoice at all, even if he has paid the tax also. But if it is not an e-invoice, then we will not be in a position to avail the input credit. So your credit will be questioned. Hence, make sure that when a person is making a supply to you, whether he is obligated to generate a e-invoice or not, because this information is something which is available in the GSTN portal. By using his GSTN number, you can always cross-check whether he is obligated to generate a e-invoice. And if he is obligated to generate a e-invoice, make sure the invoice you have received is a e-invoice only. Otherwise, the credit in your hands will always be questioned by the authorities. And in case if he gives a explanation saying that I need not give a e-invoice, then you better take a declaration from him saying that he is not obligated to issue an e-invoice, so that when the ITC in your hands is questioned by the authorities, you have a defense. Trust, I have answered Mr. Pradeep. And then Prabhujot is coming out with another question. In case of purchase return, we are sending material return to supplier. What we should do? E-invoicing or e-way bill? There are two ways of doing it, sir. The first thing is that when you are returning goods, there are two ways in which the return can happen. One, that you have received the goods at the security gate, and at the security gate itself that you have taken a decision not to accept the material. Hence, a security is going to put a stamp rejected. In such a case, it is by e-way bill, the goods can return back to the supplier. But in case if you have accepted the goods after your security check, and then you have inwarded it into your inventory, then at that point of a time, if you have taken a decision to reject the goods, then you have to raise a e-invoice if you are mandated to. If you are entitled for e-invoicing, then yes, you should raise a e-invoice and make a return supply to your original supplier. Trust, I have answered you, Prabhuji. Now, I am taking up the questions from the Q&A session. Siddharth, you have any questions which you have received through email and all?
I do, sir. I think let us answer these first. In the meantime, I will just quickly check on those.
You just check it, but Prabhujot is having some supplementary also. He says in his software, it doesn't have an option of generating e-invoice. See,
okay.
Prabhujot, if you are already generating e-invoices, then you should, it is not a purchase return kind of a transaction. See, this is where the problem comes between the finance guys and the pure finance guys and the tax guys. It is a purchase return, but the thing is, it is going, once you have accepted the goods into your inventory, then it becomes your goods, and when you want to return it, it is going to be supply from your end to your supplier. So though it is technically a purchase return, which I don't dispute, but as far as GST is concerned, it is going to be a fresh supply from your end to your supplier. Hence, certainly your current invoicing pattern should help you. But there that you will face a problem that your input raw material cannot be the output for you. In some SAPs, this kind of a control is also there. So when an input becomes an output for you, then they'll face a problem. So that is where that you have to overcome that challenge by properly customizing your ERP so that it can be done. If you still have any problem, that may be offline, that we can discuss, and I will be able to help you in resolving it. Malia sir is asking, sir, can you explain again purchase return required for e-invoice? See, I am telling that there are two ways in which the purchase return can happen. At the security gate, without accepting the goods into your inventory, if you are returning, your security will put a stamp on the back of the invoice received at your end, along with the goods that they are rejected. So you are not accepting the supply at all. So your original supplier has tried to deliver the goods to you, but you refuse to take it. Hence, he can generate a e-way bill for returning of the goods. So there is no requirement for you to generate an invoice and give it to you. Later on, by way of credit note and debit note and all, the financial part of the transaction can be settled, but these goods can be called back by your original supplier on the strength of the e-way bill that he is going to generate once your security rejects it. That is one way of rejection. The second way of rejection is once you have accepted the goods into your inventory, they become yours, and at that point of a time, you can reject it. Then you are supposed to raise an invoice. And if you are eligible for an e-invoice, yes, certainly you have to generate an e-invoice along with the e-way bill and then send back the goods. So there are two ways in which it can be done. This is what that I have explained. First, I have clarified it to you. Prabhujot is coming with some more supplementary. So you are basically saying it should be treated as a sale invoice. Yes, once you have accepted into your inventory, then it becomes your goods and then it is going to be your sale invoice. Is there any other session going on? I'm not aware of it, sir.
Mr. Pradeep, if you can elaborate on what that is, I think we can answer. But currently, just one. Also, Mr. Prabjot, would you like to unmute and talk directly to Mr. Akella? I can do that since you raised your hand. Same is for Susanta as well. Mr. Prabjot? How to ask directly? Okay, sure. 1 minute.
Meanwhile, I'm answering to Malyadri. See, in two ways that I have told you, when your security puts a stamp, rejects stamp and sends it back, there is no reason for you to pay any output tax because input tax itself that you have not accepted. Hence, there is no question of you paying any output tax or generating a invoice. Okay. In the second scenario, where that you have accepted the goods inside, and then you have taken it into inventory, then certainly when you are making a rejection supply back to your supplier, then you can take the input credit and again you can reverse the input credit by raising a invoice on your back to your supplier. Hope it is clear. Yeah, if Prabhujot's light is clear,
hello.
then maybe that he can.
Yes, Mr. Prabhujot.
Are you listening me?
Yes, please.
Just I am using a web also. We are using SAP Business One in our company.
Right.
We are already using the WP services for that.
Right.
In that case, we are sending the goods by transport, there is no way we can know the vehicle number. So
okay.
how to generate the e-invoicing directly without putting the vehicle number, because it says error while generating e-way bill.
No, your question is about e-way bill.
Yes, it is regarding invoicing. Basically, while making invoicing through SAP B1, if the vehicle number is mentioned, it automatically creates invoicing as well as e-way bill also.
Correct.
But in case of vehicle number which is not known to us while sending the goods to transport,
right,
it just gives the error regarding the e-way bill, but it generates the invoicing.
Correct.
You have to manually generate the e-way bill through the e-way website.
Right.
Is there a possibility in the WP panel that we can generate e-way bill part A only?
Just 1 minute, Mr. Prabhujot. We have Ms. Divya who wants to give an input. Yes. Yeah, Ms. Divya.
Actually, see, when you are using this API services, there is a separate API which is called through once you have generated the IRN, with the help of IRN, you can able to generate the e-way bill. Okay.
Without vehicle number, it is not generating the e-way bill.
No, vehicle number is mandatory, right? Only the thing is part A can be generated. Okay. So there is a separate standalone e-way bill APIs where you can use.
That we are using basically, but that have to be done manually only. We have to fill all the details in the e-way bill portal again. Then we can only generate part A e-way bill.
No. There is a separate APIs, Prabhujit. I'll coordinate with you.
Okay.
Just you can ping me here your mail ID. I'll coordinate with you. No problem. Okay.
Okay. No problem.
Sure.
I'll just type in the chat only.
Sure. Just send me your mail ID.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, now I'm taking up the questions in the Q&A box, or Siddharth, you want to ask the questions on the...
No, we can go with Q&A first. Let's finish.
Yeah, because people are readily available over
here. Yeah.
So is it necessary to upload e-invoices on the same day of generating? No, sir, not necessary. But the thing is that once you have taken the e-invoicing, means the portal is having an information that you have generated an e-invoice. So Uploading of the e-invoice means that you have generated the invoice in your system and you want to convert it into the e-invoice, whether it should be done on the same day. If that is the question, I have already answered in my PPT that there can be a time gap, but before you make a supply and upload it in the GSTR1, the e-invoicing process has to be complete. So physically generating an invoice in your system is one part of it, and submitting to the GSTN portal for generating the e-invoice is second piece of it. The third one is actually making a supply by linking it to the e-way bill, and then the fourth step will be the GSTR1. So if you follow the sequence, there are no time limits, that it is good. Hope I have answered your question. Then another query from your end, at month end, there is some gap between generating of invoice and uploading. Will there be any penalty? No, I have already answered this to you, and there will not be any penalty. And Tyagarajan has got many questions. So one after the other, I'll try to answer. Do we need to raise e-invoice for self-invoicing? I think I have answered it. E-invoice is mandatory for the supplier, but not for the recipient under RCM. Hence, there is no requirement for you. And Darshan had a question, post-sale credit note need to generate e-invoice. See, if you are eligible for generating the e-invoices, then credit note is also one of the documents which should be e-invoiced. And Tyagarajan has got another question. In case of export invoice with payment of duty, shipping bill will be generated while loading in the port. But when we move the goods from warehouse to the port, we need to raise e-invoice. In this case, there will be some X-rate difference. Is this fine to have a minor difference between e-invoice and shipping bill value? So normally that you need to maintain consistency while generating your export invoice and the e-invoice. There cannot be any difference. Yes, the exchange rate is going to fluctuate on a daily basis. So I'll tell you, there are sequences which I told you, like generating an invoice in your system and submitting to the e-way bill portal for generating IRN on it. Then the third step is moving of the goods with e-way bill. Then the fourth step is the GSTR1. I told you. In all these places, you maintain consistency, and whatever is the exchange rate fluctuation is there, you deal it separately. Don't take the exchange rate fluctuation on a daily basis when you generate your invoice in the system, and then when you submit it to the e-invoice, again change the numbers. Please don't do that. Your invoice and e-invoice, the numbers and the description should perfectly tally. If there is any exchange loss or exchange gain, that has to be dealt separately, but don't link it with, because GST has got nothing to do with it. So you don't need to link these two. And then there is another question that TCS is charged. Then we need to have it in the e-invoice. Yes, there is a column. I think Divya and Ramesh should be able to answer this. Madam? Siddharth?
Miss Divya, are you around? Rakesh.
Siddharth,
go ahead.
Can you repeat the question?
If
TCS, whether it requires a e-invoice is the question.
Yes, if TCS is there, so we can generate e-invoice. So as in e-invoice template, there is no option to mention TCS, but TCS amount we can mention as a other charges. But we have to generate e-invoice for that transaction also, where we are collecting TCS amount.
So to sum up, what he is saying is that the invoice has to be e-invoice only, and the TCS charge is going to be a line item in the e-invoice. That is the answer. And Deepak has a question, how to verify the IRN on the e-invoice of the vendor for big companies to ensure genuine e-invoice? There is an option. Ramesh, you can supplement on this.
Sir, you can scan the QR code with the that QR scanning app provided by the NIC. So if we are able to scan that QR code, which means that particular IRN is genuine. Yeah. If there is any discrepancy in a QR code, it means that IRN not be valid.
Thanks for your
show the status.
Yeah. Darshan had another question. If e-invoice is generated and e-way bill gets expired during the movement of the goods, will I attract penalty? No, sir. E-invoice is one step and linking it to the e-way bill is another step. Once e-way bill is generated, it will have some defined time limit. So within the defined time limit, if the goods do not reach the destination, then if the e-way bill is expiring, then you certainly have, on valid reasons, you can certainly extend the e-way bill duration. So if you have opted for extension of the e-way bill within the time, then you will not attract any kind of a penalty. So this is to do with e-way bill and its extension. So e-invoice remains the same, but e-way bill timeline you can extend it, provided that you have taken enough care before it expires with valid reasons. You have sought the extension. Hope I have answered you. In case of purchase return, we are sending material return to the supplier. What should we do? E-invoice or e-way bill? That I have answered to Prabhajit, because this question has come in the other place also in the chat. And what is meant by electronic signing in the GST tax invoice apart from manual signature and the DSC? Yeah. See, electronic signature means somebody is acknowledging that the information, somebody is validating the information. So even when somebody signs the invoice as an authorized signatory from the company, what is he stating is that he acknowledges that the information displayed on the invoice is correct and true to his best of his knowledge. So that is what it is. So there is no difference between a manual signature and the digital signature post introduction of the Information Technology Act, wherein digital signature has been equated with the physical signature. So what is meant by this signing in the GST e-invoice is government is validating the information, and with their validation, they are sending it to you back in the form of a QR code. So that means the invoice fields, mandatory fields are validated by the government. That is what is the assurance given by them in the form of a QR code. So if you want to further sign it or use a digital signature and to sign that invoice, it is your prerogative. Nobody stops you, but it is not required, which is not a mandatory thing. So if you want to do it, certainly you can do. Part of goods rejected in case of purchase return. Sir, as I told you, that this falls into the second category of rejection, which I have explained in the past. One kind of a rejection is at the security gate itself, the security will put a stamp rejected, so the goods will not be taken into your inventory. In such a case, the supplier himself will generate the return e-way bill and he will take back the goods. The financial part is going to be settled using the credit note and debit note kind of a thing. But in your case, since only the portion of the goods are going to be rejected, means that you are going to the second case wherein you are accepting the goods into your inventory, and subsequently some of them that you want to send it back. Then it becomes your supply to your supplier. Because once you have accepted the goods, they become your property. Now out of your property, some items which are not suitable for you, you want to send it back. So it is going to be another supply from your end back to your supplier. Hence, you have to follow the invoicing procedure. And if you are eligible for e-invoice, then you have to follow that. Post-sale discount credit note covered under the financial credit note or not, because it is exempt from e-invoice. Ma'am, post-sale discount, if it is having anything to do with the GST adjustment, then it has to be a e-invoice. But if it is to be only a pure financial transaction and a financial credit note that you are saying, then it need not be a e-invoice, because e-invoice is something to do with GST. If your post-sale discount credit note has got nothing to do with the GST adjustment either at your end or at the end of your recipient, then it need not be a e-invoice. Then I'm coming back to the chat, because that I could see some comments. I do not know how many of them are actually questions.
Sir, let me navigate. I will do the work for you. So I think I have to go again from the top. Let me just check.
Somnath Jire's query at 439. Sir, we generated e-invoice in case of export, but at the time of GSTR1 filing, we want to add the shipping bill details in the GSTR1 return, but e-invoice link skip on GSTR1 portal. I think Ramesh or Divya can supplement me in this.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. For updating the shipping detail, so there is a two options. One is we can update on GST site itself. So there we can do through offline or manual design. Second option is with the web platform. So there we need to just upload the export invoice detail again. So with shipping detail. So as we upload again data, so it will be replaced with the existing one. So we can update all information in one template.
Thank you. Malyadri comments is that TCS has to show in the sale invoice, wherein Tyagarajan is having a query that TCS answer is not clear. In which column this can be shown? I think again Divya and Ramesh.
Yes. TCS amount we can mention as we come to total item. So it's depend on how you are uploading data. So which template you are using. So as in web platform template, there is an option for other charges before total of item value. So there we can mention. So as we mentioning there, so system will be considered in total invoice value as a TCS amount included there.
Okay. So there is one question from Manoj Kumar. What about faulty assets replacement? Still we need to raise invoice for replacement. The query is not clear, but there can be some 2-3 kinds of this faulty asset replacement, sir. If you have received any assets and you found it that some of them are faulty, then it is as if that part of the goods are rejected. Then what is to be done, which I have answered just now, wherein that it is going, once you have accepted your inventory, then it is going to be returned from your inventory only. So it is going to be treated as a fresh supply. Then you have to return it by way of an invoice. And if you are eligible for e-invoice, go for it. Otherwise, invoice that you have to transfer. And the second scenario is that over a period of time, your asset has become faulty and then you want to go for a replacement. Then there are 2 transactions. This is treated as a 2 transactions. From your end, the faulty asset will be supplied. And from the other end, that you are going to receive a replacement. So it cannot be done by one single document. Then there will be exchange of 2 invoices on either side. Hope I have answered your question. Is there any module available to generate e-invoice on portal like e-Bill while entering data of invoice except offline tool? I think this is to
Yes.
Divya and Ramesh.
Yeah. So on NIC portal, there is no such facility available where we can, like e-Bill portal, we can put information and generate IRN. But in web portal, we have facility. So we can provide as manual detail there, and we can click on generate IRN. So your IRN will be generated.
Thank you. Tyagarajan has got a concern that TCS is not subject to GST. If I show it as other charges, then it will create an issue, right? Maybe I can connect with you later. So maybe that the Tyagarajan can connect with Divya and Ramesh from web team, that they will be able to resolve your query. Yeah. I think from Q&A that we have got another question. If the goods are sent for exhibition or fair, we have to raise a e-invoice. First thing is that are you eligible for raising a e-invoice is the first question. And second thing is that whether it is going to be a B2B supply. So when you are sending the goods for exhibition or fair, if you have an intention of making a sale at later point of a time during the exhibition or the fair, then the first leg of transaction, when the goods move from your factory to the exhibition or fair, then it need not be a e-invoice. But certainly when you are making a sale from such exhibition or fair and further sale is going to happen, then that is the point when you have to issue a e-invoice, because this actual supply, B2B supply, is happening at that location. So that is the place where that you have to generate a e-invoice. So the first leg of transaction, when the goods move from your factory to the exhibition, just for display and return purposes, it is going to be a returnable invoice, a returnable gate pass, which you will be giving it along with your document for clearance. So in that case, e-invoice is not necessary because there is no supply which is happening in this case. Hope I've answered your question.
Okay, sir, we can actually take up some questions from the registration form.
Yeah.
I will answer. I will just give them out to you. Yeah, we have a question from Mr. Vinay Bhushan. Kindly also highlight issues in e-way bills associated with e-invoicing and how to resolve with reconciliation required. I think you covered this with the point.
Covered, but if you have any issues, that I will be able to. But if you want me to reload the problem and the possible solution, there can be thousands. So Vinay was there in the session today, but I am not seeing him now. So I think
correct.
Covered it. Yeah.
That's fine. We can go to the next one. Mr. Darshan, why don't we have e-invoice online portal like e-way bill? Because of that, we have to generate through offline Excel tool. Slightly on the basic side.
Yeah, but there is an online portal for generating the invoices.
It is there.
Like a e-way bill. I do not know where he felt that it is a manual. Okay.
That's fine, sir.
I don't see Darshan here now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. One question from Tyagarajan.
I think he will be able to supplement if he has got any views. Yeah.
Darshan is there, sir. Yeah. Mr. Darshan, would you be able to add on to this? If you want to interact directly, I can allow, or you can add on chat.
I think he has raised his hand.
Okay, I will be able to allow you to talk. Just 1 minute. You should be able to unmute and talk now. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, you're audible, sir.
What do you mean by not having a portal for e-invoicing, sir?
We have a portal, but not direct while entering the data like e-way bill. So we have to first manually do entry in Excel tool, then have to generate JSN, and then they upload it on e-invoice portal. And we direct manually do entry in on portal like NIC portal or something.
You can do that also. And I think that Divya and Ramesh are the right people to answer you on this.
You are expecting a manual entry in the web portal?
Yes.
It is under development, Darshan. It will be available by next month, first week.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I think not asking for that one. It's asking for NIC portal. Like,
yes, I am asking for NIC portal. Like e-way bill. Like e-way bill. If I want to generate e-way bill, then I go to e-way bill.
So what happens? Like if you are going on an e-invoice portal, so there may be as e-invoices introduced for large customer. So there may possibility there are large number of invoices. So for example, there is a currently limit for in one invoice there can be 999 line item. So it's not feasible like entering one line item. So it may be one of reason government not give manual secret on e-portal. So for the template is provided. So we can, according our line item or invoice data type, we can prepare JSON payload information and we need to upload in the template.
Yes.
But we have such option. We have like manual invoice we can enter in web portal. So we can generate through e-invoice.
Okay.
Right, Mr. Darshan, hope that clears your doubt.
Yes.
Okay. So we can go to the next question. I have a question from Mr. Tyagarajan. I'm not sure if it is already covered. We are raising self-invoices for GST RCM purposes. Do we have to raise invoices for that as well?
That I have answered already.
Yeah. One from Mr. Ashoka. I'm not sure if Mr. Ashoka is here, but I will anyway. He's not there. Is e-invoicing mandatory for FOC experts? Are these FOC exports to be disclosed in GSTR 1?
FOC exports. See, any export invoice has to be going through the e-invoicing only. So FOC means to say that he may not be receiving any consideration from the recipient, but nevertheless, it is going to be a supply from your end, right? So it has to go through e-invoicing only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question from Ms. Vaishali. She's here. If merchant exporter misses inclusion of invoice number, GST number of supporting manufacturer, can he get exemption data with matching? Ms. Vaishali, I'm not very clear with this question. If you would like to directly talk to Mr. Akella, I will be able to do that. I'm not able to understand your question here in your registration form. We will put that on hold for the time being, sir. There's one question from Mr. Sumed on the Q&A tab. We can
I'll answer it.
Okay.
We raised the invoice on 30th of October, and party has cancelled the GST registration on 31st. In November, party has taken fresh registration. Now party says show as goods return and raise fresh invoice in November. How to show this transaction? Sir, on 30th you have raised an invoice, but I don't think that you have supplied the goods on 30th. And if it is a e-invoice made on 30th, then 24 hours time must have elapsed. So in the GSTR1, you can make good of it and raise a debit credit note and nullify your e-invoice. And then as per the party's request, then in the month of November, you raise a fresh invoice and supply the goods to him. If you have any challenge, let me understand. But otherwise, this is something which you can do. Stock transfer from one branch to other required e-invoice. Of course, yes, sir. That is what I told. Even your internal also, once you are eligible for the e-invoice, between two registrations are you have to raise the invoice. But stock transfer within the same city, when within the same state, if you are doing it, then the invoice is not required. Invoice itself is not required. Forget about e-invoice. I think chat also that we have received the same question which I have already answered it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that actually brings us to the end of the question, sir. I mean, there are a few other very basic questions which are already covered.
Right.
So I did not read them out, but I think we have covered most of it. We can probably extend by another 5 minutes, sir, since we've already spent 30 minutes beyond. If there are any further questions that are coming in, we can take it up. Also, Rakesh and Divya, I had a request from Mr. Shailesh. I think he's also in the webinar today. Let me just, yeah, he's there. Shailesh from his, PK Steel. He had some query, I believe. He wanted to talk to the technical guys. So if one of you can talk to him after the webinar, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Shailesh, we will reach out to you. I hope you were able to hear us. Okay, question from Ms. Lakshmi. E-invoice to be raised same day or after the filing of GSTR1 or before?
Ma'am, this I have explained several times during my discussion. Again, I am repeating for your benefit. Generating an invoice in your existing ERP system or accounting package, whatever you are using, is phase 1. Submitting to the e-invoicing portal and getting the IRN with the QR code is phase 2. Linking it with your e-way bill and making a supply is phase 3. And uploading this information in your GSTR1 is a phase 4. There are no timelines prescribed. So you are free to do the way you are. But the thing is that these phases are to be strictly adhered to in your own interest. So it need not be the case that e-invoice is to be raised the same day, but GSTR, before filing your GSTR1, If it is made e-invoice, then your recipient is safe and his input credit is safe in his hands. So in order to save him, that you are supposed to raise a e-invoice before filing your GSTR 1. Rajesh has got another question. If you are sending samples at free of cost, required e-invoice, this is what that I have already answered it. Darshan has got one question. For claiming ITC, e-invoice copy is sufficient if no hard copy of invoice is received? Yes, sir, it is sufficient, because e-invoice soft copy is as good as your signed hard copy. So it is sufficient. Any other questions, sir? On any topic, it need not be only e-invoicing. If you have got any question, you are free to raise.
Yes, sir. One from the chat, I think. Okay.
No, there's nothing left as far as
Right.
Q&A and chat are concerned, because I am already exceeding the time given to me by web.
But most of our webinars go like this, sir. The reason why people attend is because of this, in fact. So that is the value add-on we give here.
Thank you. Lakshmi has got a question. We are in service industry. We are selling any assets for that e-invoice is a must. Ma'am, the first question that you have to answer yourself is that are you entitled for e-invoicing? If you have already crossed the 10 crores in the previous year, and now if you are asking this question, yes, if you are selling any assets and all, e-invoice is a must. Because for computation of the turnover, as I explained to you, your non-taxable turnover, exempted turnover, all these things will be taken into consideration. Hence, if you are in the threshold limit, then yes, you have to generate a e-invoice. So I think it is
Yes,
not
sir.
correct on our parts to keep the other participants waiting, because there is no useful time that we are spending with them.
Right.
Thanks for all the support from your end by attending the session and being there till the end and raising your questions. And we got an opportunity to clarify them to your satisfaction, I believe. But if anybody is not very happy with the answers that we have given, you are free to reach out to me. Maybe a detailed answer in case if you want it. Certainly, we will be there to help you out with appropriate rules sections, because I refrain from quoting rules and sections because that I do not want to confuse you people. In simple language only, I wanted to explain to you. Whenever it is required, maybe the technical things that I will use. Otherwise, my way of functioning is that what is possible under the law to explain it in simple English only. Thanks for bearing with us, and thanks for being part of this session today. Thank you very much.
Thank you all, and special thanks to Mr. Akella for bringing out yet another successful webinar and having attended all the questions and answers. Thank you so much for your efforts, sir. Means a lot.
Sir.
Yeah, and special thanks to Rakesh and Divya as well for joining us. Thank you all, and have a wonderful evening. We will reach out to you shortly for the ones who have shown interest in polls. Thank you.
Thank you.